Hey guys, welcome back to You Can't Sit With Us. After the last episode, I kept thinking about how easy it is to recognize chaos around us, but how much harder it is to recognize what's happening internally. Because the truth is, not everything that steals our peace walks through the front door loudly. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's a thought we replay long enough that it starts sounding true. Other times it's fear dressed up as preparation. It can be anxiety disguised as responsibility. And sometimes it's comparison we consume so often that we stop realizing how much it's affecting us. And I think spiritually that matters more than we realize. The Bible talks a lot about guarding our hearts and minds, not because God wants us living in fear, but because He understands how influential our thoughts, environments, and focus really are. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." And I used to read verses like that thinking it just meant, be careful. But now I think it means something deeper. I think it means discernment. And I've used that term a lot, so for anyone who doesn't understand it, here's what it means. Discernment is the ability to judge situations clearly, spot hidden truths, and make wise choices. It goes beyond quick decision by requiring you to slow down, separate what is actually important from what is just background noise, and avoid being easily fooled. So yeah, I think Proverbs 4:23 is speaking toward discernment. Paying attention to what's shaping you, what's influencing you, what's feeding your thoughts every single day. Because whatever constantly has access to your mind eventually starts affecting your spirit. And honestly, we live in a world where everything is competing for access to us. Social media, opinions, fear, comparison, bad news, pressure, constant noise. And after a while, you stop feeling rested because your mind never actually gets quiet. I think that's why Psalm 23 stands out to me so much. Because David doesn't write this psalm from a peaceful vacation somewhere. It's believed that David wrote the psalm during an intense time of hardship. He writes it understanding fear, uncertainty, enemies, pressure, and still says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." Not after the chaos, not once life is perfect, not when everything finally calms down. Right there in the middle of it. And I think sometimes we misunderstand peace. We think peace means the absence of hard things. But biblical peace is a steadiness in the middle of hard things. It's knowing God is still present even when life feels loud. And honestly, I think that's why protecting the table matters so much. After the last episode, I had a friend reach out and tell me that even though I speak mostly about the things that are sitting at the table that don't belong, she was feeling like in her life, there actually were people who didn't belong there anymore. And I haven't spoken to the topic of people at our table directly, but I think the same judgment applies. If people are bringing fear, chaos, anxiety with them to your table, then yeah, I don't think they need to sit there. Making the decision in your life doesn't make you cold. It doesn't make you mean. You don't have to stop caring about them. Like Tupac said, I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. Because if we don't intentionally guard what has access to us, eventually everything starts sitting there. Fear, bitterness, comparison, offense, shame, and if they stay long enough, they start leading the conversation. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Renewing your mind. Not spiraling, not exhausting, not filling your mind with constant noise. Renewing it. And I think that renewal sometimes looks quieter than we expect. Sometimes it looks like turning your phone off, stepping away from the mirror, spending time with God before social media. I used to wake up in the morning, turn my alarm off, pick up my phone, scroll to see what social media things had happened while I was sleeping. But about 6 months back, I started turning off my alarm, picking up my phone, and going straight to my Bible app. Because I made a promise to myself that I was going to read the entire Bible in 365 days. And as I record this, we're on day 159. That has been renewing for me. Renewal can also look like being careful what voices we constantly listen to, choosing peace intentionally. Not perfectly, just intentionally, because protecting your peace spiritually is not selfish. Jesus himself stepped away often. He rested. He prayed alone. He withdrew from crowds. He didn't give unlimited access to everyone all the time. And I think a lot of us need permission to understand that boundaries can actually be biblical. Not walls, not isolation, not superiority, just wisdom, discernment. Recognizing what helps you grow closer to God and what constantly pulls you away from the peace. And as you know, I'm still learning myself. I still catch myself replaying conversations too long, carrying things I was never meant to carry, absorbing stress that God never asked me to hold on to. And I think awareness changes things. Because once you start noticing what's sitting at your table spiritually, you start becoming more careful about what gets to stay there. Maybe not every thought deserves agreement. Maybe not every fear deserves attention. Maybe not every opinion deserves access to your peace. Philippians 4 talks about thinking on things that are true, honorable, pure, lovely, and worthy of praise. And I think that is such a beautiful filter for life, because what we feed grows, and eventually the atmosphere around our table starts reflecting whatever we've been consuming most. So maybe this week's question isn't just what's sitting at my table. Maybe it's, what have I been feeding? What thoughts? What fears? What distractions? What voices? Because God is still preparing peace, still preparing steadiness, still preparing room for wisdom, truth, growth, and rest. But not everything gets to sit there forever. And maybe part of spiritual maturity is finally learning the difference. I'll see you guys in the next episode.